The storm came out of nowhere. One moment, the stars twinkled peacefully across the endless black of space. The next, alarms screamed across the bridge of the Artemis Venture. The ship shook violently as if some invisible hand had grabbed it and was shaking it like a toy. Panels flickered. The main engine coughed and died. In the chaos, Meera Patel clutched the console with white-knuckled fingers. She had worked as a junior engineer on corporate exploration missions for years. But nothing had ever prepared her for this. The ship, their lifeline, was failing faster than anyone could respond. "Status report, Patel." The voice of Captain Elena Voss cut through the alarms. Calm, commanding, and just a little terrifying even in the middle of disaster. Meera's boss had a reputation for being brilliant and unreasonably strict, but she also had a way of keeping everyone's attention focused when everything else was falling apart. "The storms, it's not natural," Meera managed to say, her voice trembling. It's like a plasma surge from the planet's surface. It's tearing the engines apart." Elena's sharp eyes scanned the displays. "Can we stabilize it?" she asked. Her tone was calm, but Meera could feel the tension behind it. We can try. I can reroute power from the auxiliary systems, but it's temporary. The storm is too strong." Elena's gaze lingered on her. For a moment, there was silence, except for the alarms. Then she spoke in a quiet voice, almost to herself. "Then we survived the fall." Meera swallowed hard. The words were strange, unsettling but also strangely comforting. There was something human in them, something stubborn, something unyielding. The storm hit like a tidal wave. Lights went out. Gravity fluctuated, sending both of them sliding across the bridge. Meera barely caught herself on a console, her palms burning from friction. Elena rolled with the turbulence, steady as a rock, as though the storm were a mere inconvenience. Meera clutched the control panel. "Captain, we're losing altitude. The ship, it's heading straight for the planet." "Hold on," Elena said, her voice firm. Meera had never heard her like this. Soft, but urgent. "I'm not letting us die here. We survive. Understand?" Meera nodded, even though she knew it was useless. They were in the grip of something larger than themselves. Then came the impact. The ship slammed into the planet's ocean surface with a force that knocked both women unconscious. Meera woke to the sound of water lapping against metal. Her head throbbed. She blinked, trying to make sense of her surroundings. The bridge of the Artemis Venture was gone. The ship had broken apart. The storm had passed, or maybe it had just paused, but now, all that remained was a vast, alien sea stretching endlessly in every direction. Strange, glowing waves rolled under a purple sky, and distant shapes shimmered beneath the water. She coughed, spitting out salt water. Pain shot through her arm. But the worst part was the cold. The alien ocean's night was freezing, sharper than any winter on Earth. Panic rose, but Meera forced herself to breathe. "Elena?" she croaked. Her voice sounded small in the vastness. A soft groan answered her. The captain lay a few meters away, half buried in wet wreckage. Meera dragged herself over, shivering. Elena's eyes opened slowly. They were sharp, piercing, even in the dim light, but something softer lingered there now, discomfort. Yes, but also a quiet hope. "Can you keep me warm?" Elena whispered, her voice barely audible over the gentle crash of waves. Meera froze. Her heart raced. The words were simple but heavy with meaning. It wasn't a command. It wasn't flirtation. It was survival. And it was human. She swallowed. "Yes," she said, though her teeth chattered uncontrollably. She tore a strip of fabric from her own sleeve and wrapped it around them both. They huddled together for warmth, shivering, waiting for the cold to ease. The night dragged on. The alien stars reflected off the water, casting everything in eerie hues. Meera kept watch while Elena rested, and when the captain stirred, they exchanged few words. It was strange, being reduced to survival mode. Titles, hierarchy, corporate rules, all meaningless now. We need shelter, Elena said at last. Her voice was calm, methodical, the way it always was when she was thinking. That wreckage isn't going to last. And that storm, it could come back. Mira nodded. I saw some debris floating nearby. I think we can make a raft, or maybe a small shelter. It won't be perfect, but it might hold us together until someone finds us. Elena's lips curved in the faintest smile. You've got initiative. Good. Let's do it. Together. The work was slow. The alien wood-like debris was strange and slippery, and the glowing sea sometimes lashed at them with unexpected waves. But Mira was clever, human clever. And Elena was resourceful. Step by step, they built a small floating platform, covered partially with broken panels and insulation from the ship. By the time the makeshift shelter was finished, the temperature had dropped even more. Mira could see her own breath in the frigid air. The waves glimmered, strange creatures occasionally surfacing in curiosity, only to vanish before she could focus on them. Elena looked at her with a quiet respect. You've done well, she said. There was no command in the words, no praise meant to elevate. It was recognition. Human recognition. Mira felt a strange warmth in her chest, not the physical kind, but something else entirely. They huddled together again as the night deepened. Mira held her own arms around them both, trying to absorb any small heat she could give. Elena's breathing slowed, but Mira didn't let herself relax. Not yet. Not until the dawn. In the silence, Mira thought about Earth, about her family, about how fragile and fleeting life could be. And yet, there was also this resilience, this stubborn determination to survive, even in the middle of an alien storm, even in a sea no human had charted before. She felt it. Humanity. The night was long, the ocean vast, and the cold unrelenting. But Mira held on to one thought. Survival was in their hands, and humans were stubborn, unbelievably stubborn. The first light of dawn touched the horizon, painting the alien waters in soft shades of violet and blue. Mira and Elena looked out together. Still shivering, still fragile but alive. And for the first time, Mira felt a flicker of hope, because no matter what the universe threw at them, humanity would fight. No matter how cold, no matter how impossible, they would survive. And sometimes, survival meant simply keeping each other warm. The dawn was alien and beautiful. The sea shimmered in colors Mira had never seen. Blues that glowed, purples that rippled, and faint greens that seemed to pulse beneath the surface. But beauty meant little when survival was at stake. Mira and Elena sat on their makeshift raft, wrapped in the thin blanket of fabric Mira had torn from the ship. The night had been long and merciless. Cold had seeped into their bones, and sleep had been fitful. Mira's fingers were stiff from trying to generate even a small warmth, and Elena's jaw was tight with concentration, silently calculating the next steps. We can't stay here, Elena said finally. Her voice was low but firm. This wreckage isn't stable. It will sink. The waves will take it before nightfall. Mira nodded, shivering. She had noticed the same thing while scanning the surrounding debris. The storm might be gone, but the sea itself was unpredictable. Currents moving in ways that made no sense to a human mind. Waves, glowing as if alive. Then we build something better, Mira said. Her teeth chattered, but she didn't let it show in her voice. Stronger. Something we can survive on. Maybe even float to shore, or signal for help. Elena raised an eyebrow. And how do you propose we do that? Mira looked around. Broken panels, pieces of the ship, floating containers, even sections of the hull. Everything was scattered across the water. It was dangerous, but also an opportunity. We improvise, she said simply. Humans are good at that. Elena's lips curved into the faintest smile. Good. Let's see how human ingenuity works then. Quote, quote, quote. The first challenge was the materials. The debris was slick with water and coated in an oily film that smelled faintly of alien minerals. Some panels were brittle, cracking under pressure, while others floated steadily. Mira carefully tested each piece, selecting what could form the base of a stronger raft. Elena, meanwhile, scanned the glowing waves. "Those currents," she said, pointing. "They aren't random. They move like rivers beneath the surface. We need to anchor ourselves before the next tide catches us." Mira studied the water. It shimmered unnaturally, and strange shapes moved beneath the surface. Predators? Or just curious life? She didn't know, but she trusted Elena's judgment more than anything else right now. They began assembling the raft, tying pieces of wreckage together with strips of cloth, wiring from the ship, and even flexible tubing from the engine systems. It was slow work. Every time a piece slipped, a wave threatened to wash it away, or worse, pull them into the icy water. "Watch your left!" Elena shouted as a sudden wave knocked Mira off balance. Mira's heart jumped, but she caught the raft's edge just in time. "You're lucky," Elena said, her voice steady. "Most would have gone under." Mira swallowed hard. Lucky or not, she refused to be a failure. She tightened her grip and kept working. Every knot she tied, every panel she secured, was a small victory. By midday, the raft began to take shape. It wasn't perfect, but it floated steadily. They reinforced the edges with metal scraps to prevent water from seeping in, and created a small platform where they could sit or stand. A half-broken solar panel from the ship's roof was strapped to the side, intended to capture light during the day for a makeshift power source, enough to perhaps signal for help. "We need shelter next," Elena said. She scanned the glowing horizon. "Even if the weather calms, nights here are brutal. We need insulation. Something that can hold body heat." When that, Mira looked at the debris again. The ship's insulation panels, folded cargo crates, and even torn fabric could be used. She started layering them, weaving strips together to create a small enclosed space on the raft. It wasn't comfortable, but it would trap heat and shield them from the wind. "Good work," Elena said quietly. "Humans survive in impossible situations because they think of things others wouldn't. You see solutions where others see danger." Mira felt a surge of pride, even as cold seeped into her bones. She was just doing what she knew how to do, but hearing Elena say it aloud made her realize something. Humanity's strength wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional, persistent. The alien environment continued to test them. Strange creatures occasionally surfaced near the raft, drawn by their movements. Some were small, glowing fish-like things. Others were massive shadows beneath the water, moving faster than Mira could track. She couldn't tell if they were dangerous or curious, but Elena remained calm, a steady hand on the raft. "They're observing," Elena said softly. "We need to remain calm. Don't make sudden movements." Mira nodded, holding her breath as one massive shadow glided beneath them. Its shape was unfamiliar, almost mechanical, and it moved with intelligence. She realized then that the planet wasn't just hostile, it was alive in its own way. "You think they understand us?" she whispered. "Maybe," Elena replied. "Or maybe they just recognize a living, breathing thing that doesn't belong." It was a sobering thought. Humans were strangers here, tiny and fragile. But humans were also fighters. Night fell again, colder than before. The raft rocked gently in the alien waves. Mira and Elena huddled inside their improvised shelter, sharing what little warmth they could. Mira's hands shook as she worked to keep the fire of human ingenuity alive. Small energy modules scavenged from the ship powered a heating element, barely enough to keep frostbite at bay. But it was something. Elena leaned back, watching Mira work. "Resourceful," she said simply. "That's what humans are." Mira felt a strange pride in the acknowledgement. She thought about the centuries of human survival on harsh planets, in wars, in disasters. That stubborn spark had brought them this far, maybe even farther than the universe expected. The wind howled outside. The glowing waves cast shadows over the raft. And yet, they were alive. Not because of luck. Not because of the environment. They were alive because they refused to give up. Hours passed. The two of them didn't speak much. Survival had a rhythm of its own. Mira checked the raft repeatedly. Elena scanned the horizon, and together they maintained a fragile balance between life and the endless alien sea. At one point, a massive wave struck, knocking part of the shelter into the water. Mira's heart raced, but Elena's calm voice steadied her. Adjust the panels. Work together. Together, they repaired it. Together, they survived. By morning, exhaustion weighed heavily on them. The raft had held, but the storm was never far from memory. Mira realized that survival here wasn't just about staying afloat, it was about adaptability, about recognizing danger, improvising solutions, and refusing to be defeated. Elena stood and stretched, testing the raft's stability. We'll need to move toward that island, she said, pointing to a faint silhouette on the horizon. It's not much, but it's higher ground, safer debris, maybe even fresh water. Mira nodded. We can make it. The raft is strong enough. Strong enough, Elena repeated. But it's more than that. Humans are stubborn. That's why we survive. Mira looked at her captain, her mentor, and suddenly the cold didn't feel quite as sharp. There was warmth here, not just from the raft or the makeshift heater, but from the bond of survival. Two humans against the universe, refusing to surrender. As they paddled toward the distant island, the alien sea stretched endlessly around them. Strange creatures still observed from below. Waves shimmered with light and danger alike. And yet, Mira felt hope. Because no matter the storm, no matter the alien currents, or the unknown life forms beneath them, humans would endure. They always did. And with that thought, Mira found herself smiling despite the cold. Human ingenuity, human perseverance, human courage. Those were the things that no alien storm, no cosmic ocean, could ever take away. And tonight, the universe would learn that humanity refused to be beaten. The island loomed on the horizon like a faint promise. Its jagged cliffs rose above the glowing alien sea, bathed in a strange violet light. Mira and Elena paddled with what little strength they had left, their makeshift raft creaking under their weight. Every wave threatened to tip them into the icy waters, but every stroke brought them closer to solid ground. Mira's muscles ached. Her hands were raw from gripping the raft's edges. Her lips were cracked, and her throat burned from salt and wind. Yet she kept paddling. She refused to think about giving up. Survival wasn't luck. It was action. Elena, she said between strokes, do you think there's anything alive on that island? Elena's sharp eyes scanned the shore. If there is, it's nothing we haven't seen before. And if there isn't, we'll make it livable. That's what humans do. Adapt, survive, overcome. Mira nodded. Elena's words weren't just encouragement, they were a reminder of what made humans different. The journey wasn't easy. The alien currents shifted unpredictably, pulling them toward unseen dangers. Mira spotted a massive shadow beneath the surface larger than anything she had seen before, its movements precise, intelligent. The creature circled them, curious, and then darted away, disappearing into the glowing depths. Stay calm, Elena said. Don't provoke it. Observe. That's what humans do best. Learn. Adapt. Respond. Mira tightened her grip and focused on the raft. Every movement mattered. Every decision could mean survival or death. After what felt like hours, they reached the island. Rocks, jagged and slippery, rose from the alien sea, but it was solid. Mira breathed a sigh of relief. For the first time in more than a day, her feet touched something stable. The island wasn't much, just a rocky outcrop with patches of alien moss and strange, thin trees that glowed faintly in the dim light, but it was enough. Enough to build shelter, find fresh water, and perhaps survive. First, they secured the raft to a rock. Mira used lengths of cable salvaged from the ship. "If the tide rises, we'll still be here," she said. Elena nodded. "Good thinking. Humans survive because they prepare. They make solutions even before problems arrive." Next came shelter. The island had debris from the storm, broken pieces of the ship washed ashore, tangled with native vines that were surprisingly flexible. Mira and Elena worked together, weaving panels and vines into a small, insulated structure. It wasn't comfortable, but it was safe. It would protect them from wind, rain, and the alien cold. "This will do," Elena said after surveying their work. "It's temporary, but strong. Humans can build from nothing. That's why we endure." Mira felt pride swelling in her chest. They were alive because of their own hands, their own minds. But survival wasn't just about shelter. Water was critical. Mira scanned the rocky island and noticed a trickle of liquid flowing from a fissure in the rocks. She tasted it carefully. It was fresh, slightly metallic, but safe. "We have water," she said. Elena's eyes gleamed. "Good," she said. "Humans survive on ingenuity, recognizing resources and using them wisely. That's what sets us apart." Next, food. The alien moss wasn't much, but some of it was edible. Mira experimented carefully, roasting small patches over a fire built from driftwood and ship debris. It wasn't a feast, but it was fuel. Every morsel of energy counted. As the day passed, the true challenge became clear. The alien nights were freezing. Even with their shelter, warmth was difficult to maintain. Mira tried to build a fire, but the wood was damp and strange. Sparks sputtered and died. "We need another solution," Elena said. Her eyes scanned the landscape. Humans survive because they innovate. If fire fails, think differently. Mira's mind raced. She remembered the heating elements scavenged from the ship. Combined with insulation panels, wiring, and small energy modules, she created a rudimentary human-powered heater. It wasn't much, but it radiated enough warmth to keep frostbite at bay. Elena helped, guiding her hands, suggesting improvements. Slowly, the machine began to work. Warmth spread through the shelter. Mira felt her own frozen fingers thaw slightly. "You did it," Elena said. "This is why humans survive, because when faced with impossible odds, they create something that shouldn't exist." Mira smiled, exhausted but proud. Humanity's ingenuity was alive in that moment. Night fell again, darker and colder than before. The alien sea shimmered under the violet sky, and Mira shivered as the wind cut through the shelter. Outside, strange creatures moved in the water, curious, perhaps observing. She imagined them thinking, "How can such fragile creatures survive here?" Mira looked at Elena. "Do you think they understand us?" she asked quietly. Elena shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe they just recognize determination. Humans fight. Humans survive. That's enough." Mira nodded. Determination. That word kept her going. They were not just floating on the sea, they were fighting, creating, surviving. Every action mattered. Every small victory was proof that humans refused to surrender. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the shoreline. Mira froze. Elena grabbed her arm. Together, they peeked outside. A massive wave had broken part of the shelter. Panels had shifted. Insulation exposed. Mira's heart raced. They had worked so hard. Could they survive another night if the shelter failed completely? "Quick," Elena said. "Repair it. Use everything we have." Mira moved fast, guided by adrenaline. She tied panels to vines, reinforced walls with debris, and worked alongside Elena. The human ingenuity that had saved them before now became a race against the night. By the time they finished, the shelter was battered but intact. Mira collapsed inside, breathing heavily. Elena put a hand on her shoulder. "You see? she said quietly. Humans survive because they refuse to stop. Every time the universe says no, we find a way to say yes. Mira nodded, exhausted. But her spirit was unbroken. That night, she felt something she hadn't felt before. The quiet, undeniable pride of human resilience. As dawn approached, they looked out over the glowing sea. Waves lapped against the rocks, strange creatures swimming just beneath the surface. The storm was gone for now, but the ocean remained unpredictable. Mira realized then that survival wasn't about fighting the environment, it was about understanding it, observing, learning, adapting. That was the human way. Tomorrow, Elena said, breaking the silence, we explore further, find higher ground, look for materials, prepare for anything. Mira nodded. She understood now. Humanity survived, not because the universe was kind, but because humans were clever, adaptable, and unyielding. Every challenge, no matter how alien, could be faced with courage and ingenuity. She thought back to the whispered words from the first night. Can you keep me warm? Now, warmth was more than physical. It was survival. It was ingenuity. It was resilience. It was human. And Mira knew they would endure. Whatever the sea threw at them next, they had already proven themselves capable. Because humans didn't just survive, they created, adapted, and thrived. Even in a world that seemed designed to destroy them, humans could find a way. The sun rose over the alien horizon, casting violet and blue light across the sea. Mira and Elena stood on the small island, shelter intact, hearts steady. The universe had thrown its worst at them, and humanity had responded with brilliance. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, storms, creatures, unknown dangers. But they were ready. Humans always were. And the alien sea would soon learn that human ingenuity was unstoppable. The alien sun rose slowly over the horizon, casting long violet streaks across the glowing ocean. Mira blinked against the light, her body aching from 2 nights of near-constant struggle. But there was no time to rest. Today, they would face their next test, exploring the island for resources, building a more permanent shelter, and perhaps finding a way to signal for rescue. Elena stood beside her, scanning the jagged rocks and the alien waves. Her eyes were sharp, calculating, but beneath the surface was a quiet pride. We survived the first night, she said. Now, it's time to thrive. Humans don't just endure, they build, they adapt, they conquer. Mira nodded. Those words, once intimidating, now felt like a promise. They had endured so much already, but human ingenuity had saved them. Today, it would save them again. The first challenge was higher ground. The island's jagged cliffs were steep, and the alien moss covering them was slippery and glowing faintly. Mira tested each step carefully. One wrong move could mean falling into the cold water below. Take it slow, Elena instructed. Humans survive because we observe, plan, and act with precision. Rushing is a mistake. Mira followed her advice. She found small footholds and used vines from the island to secure her balance. Step by step, they climbed. The wind howled, tugging at them. But they moved steadily upward. When they reached a plateau near the top, they found what they had hoped for. A patch of firm ground, surrounded by alien vegetation that could provide both shelter materials and insulation. Mira's eyes lit up. This is perfect, she said. We can build something that will last until rescue, or even longer if needed. Elena nodded. Good. Humans survive because we take what's given and improve it. We turn survival into strength. Next came the challenge of signaling for help. Mira pulled out the energy modules they had salvaged from the wreckage. She examined them, calculating how to combine the modules with the broken solar panel they had previously attached to the raft. We can create a high-energy beacon, she said. It won't be much, but it might be visible from orbit or to any passing ships. Elena raised an eyebrow. Do it. Humans survive because they innovate solutions that others would think impossible. Let's show the universe what that looks like. Hours passed as Mira worked. Wiring, panels, and salvaged parts clicked into place under her careful hands. Elena supervised, offering suggestions and safety checks. The result was a crude but powerful energy beacon. It hummed to life, sending pulses of light into the alien sky. Mira smiled. Done. If someone is out there, they'll see us. Elena nodded. Not just seen. Remember this. Humans survive because we combine courage and intellect. We make the impossible real. The next trial was the sea itself. They needed more resources, fresh water, food, and additional materials to improve the shelter. Mira and Elena prepared makeshift rafts and protective gear to wade through shallow waters and collect floating debris. The glowing waves lapped against them, beautiful and dangerous. Strange creatures swam beneath the surface, some curious, some predatory. Mira shivered, but remembered Elena's words. Observation first, action second. They collected floating debris efficiently, cutting and shaping panels to reinforce the cliffside shelter. Every move they made was precise and calculated. It was exhausting, but they were human, and humans refused to quit. At one point, a large wave swept Mira off balance, sending her nearly into the water. Elena grabbed her just in time, holding her steady. Humans survive because we trust each other and act together, Elena said quietly. Strength isn't always about muscle. It's about unity. Mira nodded. She realized then that survival wasn't just about skill or ingenuity. It was about cooperation, trust, and human spirit. That night, as they rested in their cliffside shelter, the alien sky above them shimmered with lights, strange auroras moving in hypnotic patterns. Mira checked the energy beacon. It pulsed steadily. Elena watched the horizon. Do you see that? She asked. Mira followed her gaze and noticed faint flashes of light from the sea below. Bioluminescent creatures, perhaps, or something more intelligent. They're watching, Mira said softly. Elena nodded. Let them watch. Humans survive because we face the unknown with courage, and we act with intelligence. Let the universe learn about us tonight. Mira felt a strange thrill. She realized something profound. They were small, fragile, and alone. But that didn't matter. Humanity had a way of turning disadvantage into strength. Their ingenuity, their determination, their will to survive, all of it radiated like a beacon brighter than any machine. The following days brought more challenges. The alien ocean sent storms, high winds, and strange waves that threatened their cliffside home. Each time, Mira and Elena adapted. Panels were reinforced, insulation layers doubled, and the energy beacon modified to withstand weather. Every failure became a lesson. Every obstacle became an opportunity to prove human resilience. Mira discovered a way to channel flowing water from a cliff fissure to create a small filtration system, producing clean water efficiently. Elena fashioned tools from debris to improve the shelter, turning jagged rocks into anchors, sharp coral into cutting tools. We're not just surviving, Elena said one night. We're creating a base. Humans don't just live, we thrive in adversity. Mira nodded, exhausted but exhilarated. Each day, they became more capable, more confident. The alien creatures still observed them from the water, circling curiously, but no longer threatening. Perhaps the universe was beginning to understand something humans had known all along. Humanity was persistent, clever, and unyielding. The full HFY moment came when a massive storm struck, larger than any they had faced. Waves crashed against the cliffs, wind ripped through the trees, and lightning illuminated the glowing ocean in violent flashes. Mira and Elena worked frantically, reinforcing shelters, checking water filters, and securing energy modules. When the storm reached its peak, the energy beacon activated automatically, sending signals into space. Mira watched, awestruck. As the pulsing light cut through the storm, it was a message. Humans are here, humans survive, humans endure. Elena stood beside her, shouting over the wind. This is what humans do. Others retreat, but we advance. Others despair, but we create solutions. Others give up, but we survive. The storm raged, but Mira realized something. They were safe. Not because the universe had been kind, but because humanity had refused to yield. Their ingenuity, determination, and cooperation had turned a deadly environment into a place where they could thrive. When the storm finally passed, the alien sea was calm, shimmering with the aftermath of violet light. Mira and Elena surveyed their shelter. The cliffside base had survived, stronger than ever. The energy beacon continued to pulse steadily. Elena placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. Do you see now? This is what humans are capable of. Against impossible odds, in the most alien of worlds, we survive. We endure. We adapt. We prevail. Mira smiled, exhausted but full of pride. She realized then that survival wasn't just about staying alive, it was about demonstrating what humanity could do when pushed to its limits. The alien creatures still observed, gliding silently through the water, watching the humans who refused to surrender. Mira imagined them thinking, these creatures are different. They fight. They create. They endure. That was humanity in a single glance. Small, fragile, yet unstoppable. By the next morning, they had created a small but functional ecosystem on the cliff. Fresh water flowed steadily. Insulation kept them warm. And the energy beacon pulsed continuously. Mira and Elena worked together seamlessly. A perfect example of human ingenuity and cooperation. For the first time, Mira felt truly confident that they could survive indefinitely if necessary. Humanity had faced worse odds on earthstorms, wars, famine, and disaster, and had always found a way to endure. Here, on an alien ocean world, nothing was different. Mira realized that humans were unique because they refused to give up. They adapted. They learned. They innovated. And they worked together. Nothing could stop that, not storms, not creatures, not the vast unknown of the universe. Elena looked at Mira, her eyes reflecting pride and admiration. Remember this, she said. No matter where humanity goes, no matter what challenges we face, this is who we are. Resourceful. Clever. Determined. Unstoppable. Mira nodded. She understood fully now. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology, size, or weapons, it was spirit. Ingenuity. Courage. The refusal to give up, even when the universe seemed determined to crush them. And in that moment, Mira knew one thing for certain. They would survive. They would thrive. And the universe would never forget it. The alien sun rose slowly over the violet horizon, casting long beams across the glowing ocean. Mira stretched, her body stiff from another night of vigilance, but her mind was alert. The storm had passed, the cliffside shelter stood firm, and the energy beacon pulsed steadily into space. For the first time since the crash, she allowed herself a moment to breathe. Elena stood beside her, scanning the horizon with the same sharp eyes that had guided them through the storm. We've survived, she said simply, her voice carrying pride and quiet relief. But survival is only the beginning. Mira nodded. She realized how far they had come, from being cast into an alien ocean world. Cold, hungry, and vulnerable, they had created a base, found water, food, and warmth, and even managed to send a signal to the universe. They were small, but they had proven something far greater. Humans could endure, adapt, and overcome anything. The first sign of hope came as a distant flash in the sky. Mira squinted. The energy beacon had done its work. Someone, somewhere, had noticed. Elena's lips curved slightly. Patience, she said. Humans survive because we act first, think ahead, and then wait for results. This is the reward of ingenuity. Hours passed. Mira maintained the shelter and checked the water filtration system, making minor repairs where needed. Elena examined the alien moss and trees, cataloging resources for potential long-term survival. Every task they completed was a testament to their perseverance. Finally, the distant hum of an approaching ship reached them. Mira's heart leapt. A small scout vessel, human-built, glided over the horizon, its sensors responding to their beacon. They had been found. When the scout ship landed near the edge of the island, Mira and Elena climbed aboard, exhausted but exhilarated. The crew on the vessel stared in awe as they recounted their story. The storm, the alien ocean, the creatures, and the ingenious methods they had used to survive, all of it amazed the seasoned explorers. They adapted and survived with almost nothing. One officer said, shaking his head. This is human brilliance in action, Elena nodded. Not brilliance alone. Courage, ingenuity, determination. Humans have always survived by refusing to give up, no matter the odds. Mira watched quietly, a small smile on her lips. For the first time, she understood the magnitude of what they had accomplished. Survival wasn't just about being alive, it was about demonstrating the unique strength of humanity. Back on the scout ship, Mira and Elena documented every detail of their experience. The data from the energy beacon, the structure of the island, the behavior of the alien sea creatures, and their own survival strategies would now become valuable information for future exploration. Humanity would learn, adapt, and improve. Elena looked at Mira, eyes reflecting pride. This is why humans endure, she said. We learn from every challenge, every mistake, every danger. We turn obstacles into lessons, and lessons into strength. Mira nodded. She thought of the storm, the cold, the hunger, and the alien creatures. Every trial had been a test, and they had passed. They'll remember this, Mira said softly. Not just the danger, but the way we survived it. Elena smiled. And that is our legacy. Not fear, not weakness, but resilience, intelligence, courage. As the scout ship lifted from the island, Mira looked down at the cliffside shelter they had built. It seemed small against the vast alien ocean, but she knew its significance. It was a testament to humanity's persistence, a proof that no matter how hostile the environment, humans could create life, warmth, and hope where none seemed possible. The alien creatures that had once circled the raft now lingered near the cliffs, observing. Perhaps they understood something fundamental, that humans were not ordinary creatures, that humans fought, created, adapted, and survived against impossible odds. Mira felt a surge of pride. Humanity had shown itself not in strength alone, but in mind, spirit, and heart. During the journey back to human space, Mira and Elena debriefed with mission control. Their story spread quickly among the interstellar exploration community. Every report emphasized the same things: survival against impossible odds, ingenious solutions from nothing, and the remarkable human ability to endure. News of their achievement reached Earth and the colonies beyond. People celebrated not only their survival but the qualities that had made it possible: courage, ingenuity, and perseverance. Mira received countless messages from students, engineers, and explorers who saw her journey as a symbol of human potential. Elena watched her with quiet pride. Do you see, Mira? This is the essence of humanity. We face the unknown, adapt, and show the universe what we are capable of. Mira nodded, understanding fully now. Their survival was more than personal, it was a story of humanity. A reminder to everyone that humans could endure even the harshest conditions and emerge stronger. Months later, Mira and Elena were invited to speak before an assembly of explorers and scientists. They recounted their story, step by step. The storm, the alien ocean, the raft, the shelter, the beacon, and the creatures that had watched them. But more than the events, they highlighted what had kept them alive: teamwork, ingenuity, and the unyielding human spirit. An officer asked, "What gave you the courage to continue, even when the odds seemed impossible?" Mira smiled. "Humans are stubborn," she said simply. "We survive because we refuse to quit. Every obstacle is a chance to find a solution. Every challenge is an opportunity to prove that we can endure. That's who we are," Elena added. "And we do it together. That's why humanity thrives. Alone, we're fragile. Together, we are unstoppable." The audience erupted in applause. But Mira felt something deeper, a quiet, steady pride that came not from recognition, but from knowing the truth. Humanity could survive anything. Back in their quarters, Mira looked out at the stars. She thought of the alien ocean, the glowing waves, the creatures, and the nights of cold that had seemed impossible to survive. And yet, they had endured, they had adapted, they had thrived. She realized that survival was more than being alive. It was about leaving a mark, inspiring others, and proving that humans could meet any challenge head-on. Elena joined her, silent for a moment. Then she said, "They'll remember us not just for surviving, but for showing what humanity is capable of." Mira nodded. "We've left a legacy then. Not just for us, but for everyone who comes after. Humans endure, and we never stop proving it." The two of them watched the stars together, the universe vast and full of unknown dangers. But now, Mira felt no fear. Humanity's story was not just about survival, it was about courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender. No matter where they went, no matter what the universe threw at them, humanity would endure, and the galaxy would remember. As the scout ship carried them home, Mira thought of all the worlds humans would explore, all the storms they would face, all the unknowns they would encounter. Each new challenge would be met with the same determination, the same ingenuity, the same unyielding spirit that had kept them alive on the alien ocean world. Humanity was small, fragile, and mortal, but also brilliant, creative, and unstoppable. The stars themselves could not contain them. Mira smiled. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain. Humans would survive. Humans would thrive. Humans would leave a legacy written across the universe itself. Because that was what humans did. They endured. They conquered. They prevailed.